Welcome to Beyond the Bar, where we take you behind the scenes of Feller and Wendt to show what really happens after an accident and the people who make it all possible. In today's episode, we're talking about one of the most important and often misunderstood parts of the process. That very first phone call to a personal injury law firm. When you're hurt, overwhelmed, or unsure if you even have a case, that first call can feel intimidating. But what actually happens on the other end of the line might surprise you. Joining us for this conversation are the friendly, reassuring voices who answer those calls every single day. Our incredible intake specialists, Araceli Cornejo, Carla Laurel Robison, and Lupe Salazar. They're sharing what it's really like to be the first point of contact for someone in crisis, how they guide callers through uncertainty, and why compassion matters just as much as legal experience. So, let's go beyond the bar. All right, well, let's get into it, and we're going to start with breaking the stigma of calling a lawyer. So many people are hesitant to call us because they think it's going to be kind of a confrontational call. I mean, lawyers are inherently confrontational, a little bit intimidating. But most importantly, the majority of people I've talked to, they feel like we don't do with this a whole lot anymore, but it's like a taxi cab. You know, you jump in the taxi cab, what happens? That meter starts rolling, right? So it's now we do Uber and you don't have to worry about that as much, but there's still some taxi cabs out there. And I think people think that lawyers are like that. You could give a lawyer a call, and even if you don't have a contract with them, like right away, somehow they're going to bill you. So they're really worried about that. The truth is the first call is about listening and helping. It's not about lawsuits or fees. And intake specialists, such as the three of you amazing intake specialists that we have here at Feller and Wendt, are trained to care, not to sell. We want you to care first. And then talk to them about the contract, but caring is the important part. So kind of with that in mind, what's the biggest misconception people have when they first call us, Araceli?
Usually it's, we can't afford a lawyer at this moment, or we want to heal first, see if the injuries are significant. That's usually a lot what we hear on our end.
Gotcha. Okay. Tell us a little bit more about that. So they've got those misconceptions. What do you do? Like, how do you kind of make them feel better about that?
Yeah, so we explained to them that we work off of a contingency fee, being that, our results are contingents off. I'm getting nervous.
No, don't get nervous.
I'm so sorry. Can we read you, or how does it go?
You're doing fantastic. Yeah, just roll.
So basically, we let them know, nothing out of pocket. You're not paying anything up front. You're kind of, trusting us to hopefully get a result for you. And see what we basically can do on our end to help you out thoroughly with your medical treatment, whatever, typical cases. It just kind of depends, what's coming through the door.
Perfect. Yeah, and you're nervous right now. You just said that. And our people, when they call us, they're nervous too, right?
Usually, yes.
Yeah, can you feel? I mean, some people are mad, right?
Yeah, depending, like I mentioned, depending the case, some people are angry, some people are, sad, going through so many different things and in their life at the moment.
Yeah, and I think a big part of the reason, like you're even nervous now, and that are the people when they call in when they're nervous. I mean, they're in a unique situation. This is unique for you, first podcast, I'm guessing, right?
Yes, first podcast.
Yeah, so it's a little nerve wracking. Same thing for our clients too. It's the first time for most of them they've been involved in a collision, so it's just human responses. I mean, when you're in a unique situation, you're not familiar with it. It's nerve-wracking. That's definitely court for lawyers that have never been to trial before, or a deposition for clients, or even just that first call to you ladies. So when and where the accident happens is kind of some of the first questions you ladies ask. You also talk a little bit about, I've skipped to the next section. I actually wanted to ask you, Lupe, do people ever sound nervous or apologetic? I mean, we talked a little bit about nervousness, but what about, are they apologetic when they call?
I feel like most of the times they can feel apologetic. The reason why is because they feel like we don't understand where they're coming from, Or a lot of times it's just like, hey, I've never been in an accident. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry. And they feel like by asking so many questions, they're kind of like bugging us. But it's really not that case. Me being newer here, next to these two ladies, I've learned to kind of like understand why they're being sorry. Because I know if I was on the other side, I would also be constantly saying, hey, I'm sorry for asking so many questions. I'm sorry for feeling some type of way without, I don't know. Sorry, just like you, I'm nervous, but just, I lost my train of thought.
No, that's really good. So I do think people are kind of apologetic because they are worried that they're taking too much of our time. I think in the back of their head, the meter's running too.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, sorry, I'm asking you these questions. Don't bill me, $4,000, right? So they're kind of, that's part of the nerves, I think, too, with all of it. There's also a concept here that we deal with, and I've been dealing with it for over 20 years, called tort reform. A lot of people don't even know what it is, but it's that whole hot coffee kind of concept. Like, people shouldn't get $6 million for spilling hot coffee on themselves. And I think a lot of us agree with that, even though we don't understand all the facts behind that case. She didn't get $6 million, by the way. It was a lot less than that, and it was pretty legitimate what happened to her. But that said, there's a lot of people that don't agree with that. And so when they get into these collisions, they're like, oh, everybody's going to think of me like the hot coffee person.
Yeah.
Lupe, while we were kind of getting ready for this, you brought up and wanted to know if we could talk a little bit about the Hispanic community, which I think is important because I've got 3 Latinas here by me, amazing Latinas. And, that's an issue, right? I mean, there's some nervousness and I think people are probably a little apologetic based on some considerations in the community there. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So one example that I can give, and I love talking about this, is I was part of the council for OTEC. And so when I went,
tell us what that is, OTEC.
Yeah, so OTEC is Ogden Weaver Technical College.
Okay.
I'm going to school there for business, and I was president for student council. And so one of our jobs there, which kind of brought up my job here, was a lot of Hispanics feel like they can't go to school because they feel like the language barrier, or there's no one to understand or explain to them what's going on. At church, that was one of the subjects. I was like, hey, if you guys ever are involved in an accident, I work for Feller and Wendt, this is what we do. And it surprised me how many people were like, you guys can help? Like, what about we don't have papers, we don't have a social, we don't have those resources. Like, I thought you guys would shut us down. And I was like, no, it's not like that. And I myself just became a citizen 3 years ago. And next month will be 3 years. And I myself,
that's amazing.
Thank you. I myself even thought that. I was like, oh, well, I only have an ITN number. I didn't know I had all those resources. And I think that's a subject that is not touched a lot. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that they can be helped. They do have a case. They do have someone to talk to.
Shut the front door. Are you being for real? We can help everybody out?
It looks like we can, yes.
Okay. Yeah, and for the most part, that's true, right? I mean, I'm the one lawyer in here, and I do want to say, too, to anybody, it doesn't matter if you're from Asian background, Hispanic, you're a Canadian, you don't have proper documentation, don't let that hold you back from giving us a call. First off, we have attorney-client confidentiality, so let me just be real clear. We're not calling ICE on anybody. We can't. That's not allowed. It's not permitted. There's no law that requires us to do that. So you can give us a call and you don't have to worry about being deported or something like that. And I get that. I mean, I'm a white guy, so I don't fully get it, but I get it too. I mean, I can empathize and understand that, like, if somebody were going to come and take me away from my family or something like that, that would make me really hit the pause button a lot on things that I'd want to do, but I didn't know if I could do. So just know you can do it. You can do it. You can give us a call. Doesn't matter if you're here illegally or legally, your papers ran out, whatever the situation is, we can help.
Positive things about the firm is that we have attorneys who speak both languages. We have us intake and the legal team. So I think, like, a lot of people's like, well, what if I don't know English, or do I have to hire a translator?
Right.
Like, no, like, there's so many people here that do speak both languages.
Such a good point. That's a really good point. Carla, you were going to say
We
something.
definitely have a lot of resources. For example, when we went out to meet with those 2 clients who are Spanish speaking, I know for a fact the lady looked very hesitant and nervous and not sure if this is something that we could help out with.
Mm-hmm.
But once we let her know and reassured her that this is the case that we could help her out with, it's kind of like that load came off of her shoulders. She looked a little bit more relaxed and ready to move forward. So I think that's just another great thing about our law firm is
So
that we
good.
could provide with those resources to clients who feel very stuck in that moment.
Yep. And I would say, don't you think that's true? I know we're kind of focusing on the Latino community right now, but that's true of like anybody, right? I mean, that I love what you just described, that load that comes off. That is what I love about what we do. I think that's our job, right? Our job is to step in, help these folks out in a time for most people, that's some of their worst times, right? So we're able to help them out and take that load off. And you guys are the front line of that. So that's awesome. And thank you for all of that you do. Along those lines, Carla, talk to us a little bit. How do you make people feel comfortable, like right out of the gate?
I like to reassure them that they did give us the call, like they did the right thing of giving us a call. Even if it's the case that it's not something that we could take on, I like reassuring them, letting them know, hey, again, if this is something that we cannot help you out with, we'd love to go ahead, lead you in the right direction, provide you with referrals, or even seeing what steps we can take as a law firm. But I think just setting that tone immediately, letting them feel reassured, comfortable. Also, sometimes there's cases where they let us know, hey, I was in an accident. I was like, oh, that is so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's exactly what we do. I'd love to go ahead and gather a bit more details.
I feel calmer already. Like just listening to her, isn't she? Like she's so calming right there.
Absolutely.
And I
That's
think
awesome.
just again, if it's a case that we can help them out with, I like them to feel comfortable. I'm like, hey, take your time. These are not easy situations. We know for a fact that you are dealing with a lot. So we're here to listen to you, help you, and again, lead you in the right direction. So I think that's something that not only makes me feel a little bit more confident, but it can also help them feel comfortable and not being scared of attorneys. Calling a law firm.
Yeah, because honestly, unless they really want it, they're not even talking to the attorneys. They get to talk to you people, right? I mean, you guys are, I'd rather talk to you than attorneys anyway. So I think that's how most people are. But I do think they're nervous and they think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on. And especially if you can't speak English very well and you're worried. But again, I just want to emphasize that to Lupe's point. We do have attorneys that speak Spanish. We have an in-house private investigator that speaks Spanish. These ladies all speak Spanish. I'm trying to speak Spanish. I'm doing Duolingo, but I really can't communicate very well in it. But we have a whole bunch of people that we intentionally hire because we do want to service what I think is one of the biggest growing populations in Utah and probably in the country, which is the Hispanic community. And so, I think it's really important to take care of our neighbors, our friends, our family that are part of that community that need help just as much as anybody else. So good stuff. Well, let's talk a little bit about the first call. So, you get that you're sitting on your couch, you've been in a collision. Maybe it was just you, maybe it was some of your family members and you're thinking, man, I feel like we should do something here. I've made some calls to the insurance company or you haven't even done that yet. And you're like, I don't know what this is going to be like. You're a little bit nervous. We've talked about that. So let's kind of like talk about what actually happens during that first call. And so what I know about that is that the intake specialist job is to gather the story, not just the facts. We're not looking for just facts. We want the story too, right? And then some of the typical questions, and this is where I started running off the rails a little early, but you're going to ask things like where and when the accident happened, what injuries they are dealing with, and their family members are dealing with, and whether they've talked to the insurance yet. And let me stress, whether they have or haven't, it doesn't matter. Don't feel bad. There's no wrong or right way to do that. And then we do want you to know the calls are confidential and non-judgmental. There's no pressure. There's no commitment. That's one thing that you won't get from us. I tell people that all the time. Like, call us, get information. We're not going to pressure you into doing something you don't want to do. Most callers are hurt. They're overwhelmed, and they just need someone to guide them through the next steps. So walk us through, Araceli, what are those steps? What are those first steps? What's that first conversation look like? I mean, I know in your head you probably have it memorized now, the script, kind of the cadence of the call, but walk us through that.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the first call is a lot of listening, gathering details, making the caller feel, like Carla mentioned, first of all, heard, important, and most of all, comfortable. A lot of the times we're asking location, so where the accident happened. We're asking dates. The reason why dates are important is because we have what is called a statute of limitations. So we like to make sure that we're not running out on time and that we can get everything that the case is needing within a timely manner. So usually the first call is a lot of that, and making our caller feel as if, like I mentioned, that they're heard and feeling like they can trust us, most importantly.
And Araceli is one of our top people. Not only are you in intake, but you're one of the assistant managers.
Yep. Also very
intake too,
nervous
yeah.
all the time.
That's not true. She's not nervous all the time. But she is definitely nervous right now. All right, Carla, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. What kind of information, Araceli told us a little bit about the information, but what kind of information should people have kind of like ready to go if they are going to make this call? What's helpful?
Well, I know at times we get calls where they're like, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this.
Yeah. Is that okay?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I think it's an overwhelming situation where your mind kind of is all over the place. And hearing it on my end, I'm like, oh, okay, they have all the information, such as where it happened, what exactly happened, when it happened. And, from there, we could lead them, kind of be like a guide on how to help them out with that. Move on to questions such as, okay, how are you doing? Are you injured? Was anyone in the vehicle with you? Just simple questions that they're able to answer and not like needing to think about for 10 minutes or having to go on their phone and search something up. I think that kind of helps them be prepared, come with, a summary of how it happened. But from there, we could also guide them on what other information we're needing.
Yeah. No, that's great. Lupe, how long does that first call usually take?
I do think it depends on the case. I can go from 10 minutes to 20 minutes. Just like they were mentioning some of the information that we have to gather. Sometimes they do have a police report, the police report number, if they were going to the hospital, the ambulance. So sometimes if they do have all that information, then the call can be a little longer. But most of the time we send out a text message, and then once they're like relaxed and they got the call out of the way, because that's what I guess makes them more anxious. Once that's out of the way, they feel more relaxed, and then they'll send us a text message like, hey, I forgot to give you this information, or here's the police report, here's some videos, pictures, etc.
Right.
I just think it just depends on the case.
Yep. Great point. Araceli, what's the longest intake call?
It, like she mentioned, it depends on the case.
Well,
I
what's
think
the longest?
I've ever
ever?
had, maybe like an hour.
Okay.
An hour.
What's
top,
the
but
shortest?
Usually like 13 to 15 minutes.
Okay. What's your
what-
absolute shortest intake call? Do you know?
Probably 12 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say too, I've had people that have called me literally, this was before you guys were doing all the intake, and attorneys were directly doing intake back in the day. But I had somebody call me like literally while they were in the car, and I could hear jaws of life like opening the door up because they couldn't get out of the door. And so in that situation, I'm sure you guys have had some of those. We tell them, hey, like take care of yourself, make sure everybody's fine, make sure the people that hit you are okay. Like don't get hurt further, and then call us back. Give me your phone number. Give me your name, and then we'll get back to you too if we don't hear from you. But we make it really easy for them, right? It's not, again, it's one of those situations where if they only want to talk to us for 5 minutes, and then we'll schedule another call. I know you ladies do that. If they want to talk to us for an hour, you'll go an hour. And so we kind of meet them where they need to be met, right? Let's see, if you guys, whoever wants this, what is something you would want people to know before they call us? If you could tell everybody out there one thing that you want them to know before they call us, what would you want them to know?
I think my biggest thing is them knowing that we could help them either way. I
Okay.
think that's my biggest thing. And I love saying that to people, especially when they're very stressed out. They're like, hey, I don't know if this is a case that you guys could take on. I'm like, okay, let's take a look at it. If it's not a case that we can help you out with, we'll still lead you in the right direction. That's something that we do here at Feller and Wendt.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I personally would love to hear if I was in a situation like that and kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I need that reassurance.
Because sometimes people just want to know, right? They're like, I don't even know if I have a case.
Yeah.
So I think that's super. That's an awesome thing for them to know. Anything else?
It's sorry. Go ahead, Lupa. You can go first.
And I was going to say, I feel like one thing is the communication. Whether we can take it or the team's not there, there's always someone that will take the call, even if the client's
Whoa. Always?
Almost always.
It's pretty much always though, right?
Yeah,
Is there ever a time we can't take the call?
No, not that
We have a 24-hour
Call line.
call line. So
24
you'll
hours,
always
7 days a week.
Yep, you'll always reach somebody.
365.
And I like to preface that we also have like resources such as the client portal where they're able to take a look at the phase, let them know what the phase is.
Yeah.
So we just have amazing resources when it comes to communication.
Good points.
Back to, I think, when people are first calling us, what I would like them to know is it's absolutely free. The consultations are free. You're not coming out of pocket for anything. So a lot of the times people think that it's kind of hiring like a lawyer who's working hourly, and that's not the case here. So a lot of the times I think it's easier to just give us that call, see if you have a case or not. Like I mentioned, it's completely free. So what could it hurt, whether you do it or not?
Good point. Yep. Again, I think that's what I'd like them to know too. And I think the other thing too is we care. Like we've got a lot of people in here that actually care. This is what we do. It's why we do it. We're trying to help folks out that have legitimate issues, because we want to help our communities out. It's a way to make it, safer communities for all of us through the work that we do. So good stuff. Let's talk about some of the common fears and emotions that you hear out there. So a lot of times people feel guilt, anger, or confusion. They're worried about maybe blaming somebody else. I've had people tell me like, oh, I didn't call you because I was worried it was my neighbor and I really like her and she rear-ended me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but we're not going after your neighbor. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Many say I'm not the suing type. I'm not that hot coffee lady. We talked about that, right? And then you guys kind of help address that because you explain that, hey, this is about insurance accountability, not lawsuits. Sometimes we have to sue, but that's very rare. And then you guys really reassure them you're not doing anything wrong by asking for help or just even asking for information. Sometimes people are just calling in to ask for some information, and that's completely okay. So along those lines, what are some common fears or hesitations that you hear from callers?
Like you mentioned before, people aren't wanting to, blame somebody. And I do like to reiterate that, we're not going after the individual. In most cases, we're not going after the individual themselves. It's not really a civil suit that we're doing here. A lot of the times people pay a premium every month to be covered for situations like this. So I like for them to kind of look at it as, hey, you're paying out of pocket to cover yourself in these type of situations, or the individual who caused this is, they make sure to pay their premiums to make sure that they're covered when they're negligent on their end. So I do like to explain that it's not necessarily the person directly that we're going after. A lot of the times you won't speak to that person. You won't even, you guys won't communicate majority of the time within these type of cases.
Yeah, that's great. Who wants to handle this one? I mean, it's real similar to what you're talking about, Araceli, but how do you help somebody who says, I don't want to sue anybody?
I think just how Araceli said, just reassuring them in most cases,
Yeah.
you won't be suing anyone directly. It's mainly the insurance that we go after.
Yep.
I think Araceli does an excellent, oh my God, I just forgot the word.
Trabajo.
She does an excellent job on explaining that. I know I hear her during calls, and so I take some of that information that she provides and I use it on my calls. And it kind of again, takes that load off of them. They're like, oh, okay. I didn't expect it to go out in this direction. So then I think that's where the resources come in place. We have Araceli, who does an amazing job on calls, but we also have attorneys that are available to speak to potential clients and provide them with that guidance as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really important what both of you said, because we live in a very religious community, especially here in Utah, and I know we serve Arizona and Idaho. They all have their different religious kind of wrinkles. But I think what's really common is that people are, like, oh, I'm just going to be that person that turns the other cheek. I think I'm fine. I even have my own friends that know what I do and they still think that. And I'm like, it's not, you're not turning the other cheek necessarily. This is about holding big, giant corporate companies, insurance companies that advertise more than anybody on TV. That's who we're going after. We're holding them accountable. Yeah, you said that exactly right, Araceli. We're holding them accountable. And it's a contract we all have. I love that you said that. You're like, hey, you have a contract that you've been paying premiums on. The person that hit you, they do too. It's time for the insurance company to do what they said they were going to do. They're really good about taking all that money. Mm-hmm. How about now when it's time for them to pay out because somebody's injured and hurt and needs those resources to get back on their feet? Like, that's where we come in, right? Because they do not do that very well. I love, who is it? Which is the one that says you're in good hands?
Allstate.
Allstate. I'm like, yeah, you're in really good hands as long as you don't have any collisions. Once you have a collision, though, they open up the hands and you fall out, right? Lupe, what's the most rewarding part of helping someone through that first call?
When they call and they ask directly for you because they know that you were helping them and how you're sending them to the next team. And there's a few cases where when I'm following up and seeing how their cases are doing, like they'll send a message, or like that guy calling me Lupe. So when he calls, he's like, oh, could I please speak to Lupe or Ari? I think that's what he was calling you. It's just so nice to know that the way we speak to them, they kind of are more relaxed. They're not scared. They're not hesitant to call us. They know they can call us, text us, email us, and we're going to reply. Yeah. I think that's just, it makes me happy. I know that I did my job well. And yeah. Good. No, that's awesome.
Once you've collected the information, and let's go back to you, Lupe, what happens next then?
So when we collect the information, I like to let them know, like to reassure them, like, look, I was like, what's going to happen right now is you're going to be receiving a few text messages and emails. The text messages are going to give you instructions of what to do next. My job here is to start creating your legal team, let them know about your case, and then someone will be reaching out to you and let you know what the next steps are. So kind of reassure them that we are working on them. We are creating their file. We send them another text message once their file is created and letting them know, hey, I'm so-and-so. This is what we're doing currently right now. And then you can call us back still if you have any questions, if you want to add more information about your case, and then just start working it from there.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple different categories too, right? So there's folks that you guys have been working with and that we can't necessarily help them at Feller and Wendt. Maybe it's not the right type of case, or Araceli, you said, there was maybe some timeline issues or something like that, where time limit issues where we couldn't get there. So we can quickly help them out by letting them know, give them at least some information about why we can't help, right? We'll always leave people with information or refer them over to another resource that might be able to help them better. We're kind of talking now about those clients that have called in and they do have an issue that we can help with. And so you're saying we can set up the file and get them over to their team and all that kind of stuff. Carla, how quickly does someone hear back from you guys? Do intake? Are they always going to be talking to you? Which I already know the answer is no. So how quickly are they going to hear from the team that's actually working on their claims?
So I like saying something along the lines, okay, we have your file set up. I'm going to be sending you this information. But in the following days, the legal team will be reaching out to personally introduce themselves to you, help answer any case-specific questions. I don't like to give them a certain time just so they don't have their expectations on a set time. I just let them know in the following days. Yeah. But if it's a case that we obviously want to get it over to the team immediately and get them referred out to medical providers, I like to let them know. I'll let the team know to reach out to you as soon as possible just so we could get all of this sorted out. Yep. But I don't like giving them fake expectations and them just waiting on the phone waiting for our call to come through. So I like to set kind of a timeline of the following days.
Yep.
I'd like to say typically it is roughly 72 hours that intake will hold on to their case as we're still gathering information, assigning teams, attorneys, all of that good stuff, getting the documents necessary, which include like power of attorneys, HIPAA authorizations and things like that. But usually, like Carla said, getting with the teams, depending on the injuries, we do have case setup specialists that usually reach out, do the initial calls and all of that good stuff. But usually it is within the first couple of days that they're signed on with our firm.
So let's back up just a little bit before we get to the teams and the case setup specialists. What happens if I don't even know what my email address is? Like, how do I get all these documents? You mentioned a power of attorney and a contract. I mean, how do most people get those documents and get those things signed? And then what happens if I can't do it the way most people do it?
So it just depends. We have so many different options. We have a one notary. It's electronic. It can be sent to, if they don't have their email address, it can be a text line, so a text message. You can even use like the apps. As long as you can receive it and sign it on your end, we'll be able to get it to you electronically. Myself have, if you're local, I've been able to meet the client, whether they're in a rehabilitation center, it's their home, whatever the case is. I've been willing to go out. Carla and Lupe have also gone to sign documents in person, or they're more than welcome to come to our office. We have notaries on standby, so we're usually able to get those filled out for them. And a lot of the times coming with us, we do it for free, notarizing their documents instead of going to, a library or whatever the case to pay $20 to $25 for that.
What if I'd like to text? That's all I want to do. Can you do it all through text?
We can do it through text message. It's pretty simple. Everything is kind of electronic nowadays, so we can do that.
Okay, that's awesome. How many of our clients would you say do everything over the phone or over the internet as opposed to coming in to the office? What percentage?
I would say about 85 to 90% of our clients. There's about 10% that are still kind of old school. They like to do everything in person. They like to meet people in person.
Why'd you look at me when you said old school?
No, not at all. I was looking at you the whole time.
I was messed up.
Trying to keep my eye contact. But yeah, usually it's the folks who aren't really, I wouldn't say tech savvy, but they do like to keep everything that they're kind of used to. Which is totally fine with our teams.
They want to make sure we're real.
Yeah, that we're real. We're very well-rounded. The girls are great at heading over and notarizing, signing documents, explaining documents whenever necessary.
Nice.
And I feel like it's not only our team. We also have our private investigator who I like to reach out to. I had a client about a week ago who we were just having a little bit of difficulties getting the contract signed. He didn't have any transportation. And our attorneys and private investigator were willing to meet him at his home to get that all sorted. And from what I heard it was a good experience for not only the client, but also the private investigator. He was able to gather information that usually takes us a couple of days to obtain if we get it electronically. Yeah. We're all able to get it all in a day. Just get everything settled.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And I know that's the case. We're all here sitting in the Layton office in Utah, but we also have a Mill Creek office in Utah, and then we have a Mesa office in Arizona and an Idaho office that is up in the Boise area, right there in Meridian. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the human side of intake. Without naming names, is there a call that really stuck out to you guys?
About a month ago, there was a younger client who was about my brother's age, who was a passenger in a vehicle, and just hearing the mom, like I'm not a mom, but hearing her talk about the incident, my heart
I thought you had a kid.
Well, I have a puppy. But
Gotcha.
I don't know, I just felt we were able to help luckily, but it just was very heartbreaking hearing a mother's side of the story and just hearing how her son's life changed so quickly in a matter of hours, where he was an A+ student with a good GPA, and now that has all shifted. And I know those could be very hard, especially when we want to do everything we can to help them and just make them feel like a priority.
You're like literally getting emotional right now.
It was so sad. But no, I really
That's tough.
enjoyed talking to her, even in a stressful situation. And I just wanted to reassure her that, hey, you're, again, in great hands. We're going to take that load off of you, make sure that your son is healing and, you know, hopefully able to recover fully and get you over to the best of the best. So,
What happens if people don't have like the resources to get to a medical provider? Is that stuff you guys can help them out with?
Yes, we work with a ton of medical providers.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to reassure them too. We work with those medical providers that work on a lien, meaning you do not have to worry about paying anything up front.
Okay.
But at the end of the settlement, they will recover from that.
Mm-hmm.
I like to give them a little bit of examples, especially with the injuries. If they're saying they are dealing with back problems, I'm like, oh, we have chiropractors, we have physical therapists. If you're needing additional doctors, we could also provide you with a referral.
Yeah.
Just providing them with those.
And that's good information for those people that are like maybe undocumented that we talked about, right, Lupe? That they're not only thinking like, oh, I can't speak the language very well. I'm undocumented. I don't want to be deported. And then what's the point? Because I can't even go see a doctor anyway. I don't have health insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are some really good resources that we have. We can really get people taken care of. If they have a good case, that's the very first thing that we do too, right? You guys make sure they have a decent case. If you're not sure, you'll have an attorney look at it, but you guys know usually about 90% of the time. And if it's a good case, then we're going to get them taken care of from top to bottom, right?
Yes, definitely.
Good stuff. How about you two then? Craziest call, weirdest call?
I think we deal, like Carla said, we deal with a lot of parents. A lot of parents who are calling in that not necessarily were even involved in the incident. It's really tough. And first of all, it's great that, the parents care enough to call on their children's behalf. But we've had multiple cases where, their child either suffered tremendously or unfortunately had passed from the incident. So, hearing a parent come to you in a crisis like that, it's like she mentioned, heartbreaking. Anything that we can do on our end to accommodate, to help, just support, be supportive and listen on our end. It just, there's a case specifically that was like kind of like a motorcycle case where the mother lost her son in the accident. And so, those can be very tough to delegate with. But getting a great result for them and getting help for, the mother and the family involved is always very rewarding in the end.
Yeah, that's great. Lupe, you're newer, but how about you? What's the standout call for you?
Honestly, I've had almost the same calls, but I think one of my interesting calls, and these two ladies helped me with it, it was just, I had the adjuster. Okay. She was rear-ended in the drive-through, and she was hesitant. She did not want to come with us.
I wonder why.
She spoke to an attorney. She's like, you know what, I'm not going to go forward with it. And so just the communication, she spoke with me, she spoke with Araceli, she spoke with Carla, she spoke with one of the attorneys. And then she messaged back and she's like, I have a question. What is your guys' success rate? And so I was speaking with her. Then once again, Carla took over the call and she came back to us and she's like, you know what? Like, I want to move forward.
Good.
Just hearing how hesitant they are, it's interesting, the information, because even though she's very well educated in her job, she's still learning on our end of the job.
Yeah.
And so just like knowing that we can change someone's mind and want to come with us, it's just, it's interesting.
It goes to show too that it's really important that people don't try to solve these on their own. You're just at a huge disadvantage. Even an insurance adjuster recognizes that at the very beginning and understands that she needs an attorney most likely. So we get a lot of people that think, oh, I can just handle this on my own. And oftentimes I'll talk to them and I'll say, well, give it a shot. Time is important. But, if you don't want to use us now and you change your mind later on, we're still here. And I can't tell you how many people, huge percentage of those people end up calling back and saying, you know what, you were right. I need your help. Let's go get this done. So you guys do a really good job helping out with that. Okay, so final messages to listeners here. couple things that I want to say is that, the first call is the first step towards getting your peace of mind. It's not just paperwork, but even if you don't think you're hurt, give us a call. Get the information that you need right now. And I think this is one of the most important messages. When we talked about what's that one thing I wish people knew out there, I wish they knew this. Even if you think you're not hurt, give these ladies a call, because even if you aren't, you might be right. We'll talk to you about why you need to go get that documented, because it's so important for that next collision or that next incident that you have. It could be a workers' comp. It could be a car collision. It could be a premises liability issue. The insurance company, if you didn't go get anybody to look at that first issue, even if you weren't hurt, they're going to use that against you. So what we want you to do is go out, get evaluated. We will probably tell you there's nothing that we can do. You're not hurt, but go get that medical record that says that you're not hurt. So now we have proof that you're not hurt when the second incident comes around. Hopefully you don't have a second, but when you do, if you do, now you're set up for it. So last things, whoever wants to take this. Well, actually, Araceli, let me ask this. If someone listening today is scared to make that first call, what would you say to them?
I think that, like myself, I was very nervous on this podcast. So I understand that it can be nerve-wracking, but our team is here for you, not only in a difficult time, but we're here to listen, to be somebody that can be supportive in whatever case that you're dealing with. Not only are we here to hopefully help you in this incident, but look at us as a friend. When you're talking to us, look at us as if we're a family member or a friend of yours, because that's exactly what our goal is to hopefully, potentially, like Thaddeus mentioned, you won't have any accidents in the future, but if you do, or if you know anybody that is, hopefully we can be somebody that's at the top of your brain and that you'll get those people or come back to us in the future.
Yep. Yeah, and that's our motto, is our family protecting yours, and we mean that.
Exactly.
Like, we literally represent our family members. We represent our friends. We represent our community, and that's been our motto since day one when we opened up, and it's going to keep being our motto, because that's exactly how we want people to think of us, that we're just that family member that has some legal experience that can answer some questions for them. So
Exactly.
really, really good answer, Araceli. That was great. I want to thank all three of you ladies for being here. You did a fantastic job. You shouldn't have been nervous at all. We wouldn't even have known you were nervous unless you said it. You were like one of those where you say you're nervous and then you can't even tell you're nervous. I see that. That's a lot of people. But no, you did a really good job. Everybody did great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching this episode of Beyond the Bar. We hope today's conversation gave you a better look at what really happens when you call a personal injury law firm and how much care and compassion goes into that very first call. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to check out our other podcast and subscribe so you don't miss future conversations about the people, cases, and stories that shape what we do here at Feller & Wendt. And as the weather starts to cool down, remember to drive safely, give yourself extra time, watch for ice on the roads, and stay alert. A little caution can go a long way in keeping you and your family safe this holiday. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time, Beyond the Bar.